Welcome back, folks. This is episode 160. Man, we had a little break. We took off from Memorial Day, got a little
Mhm.
breather. We had, a much needed rest and
Yeah.
break and rejuvenation. We got a great guest on today. But before we get into that, as always, my other half, a partner in crime. Well, not
Yes, sir.
crime.
Yeah, I hope we're not committing a crime.
I know, right?
The greatest scandal of all
PNC,
time.
my PNC partner in payroll.
Yeah,
What's going on, Walt?
nothing much, man. That's funny that you said that. It's like partner in crime, the greatest true payroll crime story
I
ever
know, right?
told. Yeah, man. Like, no, I'm good. How about you, man?
Man, I'm good, man. I gotta tell you, like, it's cool to get breaks, but I miss recording. Like
Yeah,
when I go a week, because we only did it 1 week without recording, right?
yeah, yeah.
I just feel
I
it,
like
and I
how
just like
long? Yeah,
it
right.
feels like it's longer,
Yeah,
because it's really so many days, whatever. But I miss
yeah,
it. I love recording. I love being able to talk about this stuff.
yeah,
But
man.
yeah, man, what do we got? We're going around the pay horn today. Are we going? You want to touch
Yeah.
on financial fitness?
I don't have any updates actually. It's going well.
Okay. Yeah,
You
same
know,
here. Oh, I
like
maybe a little bit of update.
this been using Yuka and it's changed how I spend a little bit and what I spend on and spending a little bit less, because I'm not buying all the junk
Yeah.
food and stuff
Oh
like that
yes.
anymore.
Oh
So cutting that
yes.
out and I just started this workout thing, 75 hard. And so
You
like
told me about that.
yeah, so today
Yeah.
was day one. It was kind of like a clean
Okay.
break to start it at the beginning of the month. So like you work out twice during the day,
Okay.
once once outside. One has to be outside, and you have to work out. Each
Oh
workout has to be
geez.
45 minutes.
Ooh, gosh.
Yeah,
That's a big commitment.
yeah. But look, getting up early, 5:45. So it's going to bring that discipline, and so I think that's going to just like have a ripple effect for me. With
Absolutely.
financial fitness challenge as well.
Dude, because yeah, we also trying fitness challenges and or getting our it's a holistic approach to
Yeah,
fitness, right?
yeah, yeah.
Was I don't know if I talked about it on the show, but I had a friend that recently turned 60. I didn't even
Mhm.
know he was 60, bro. We I grew up with him, like we hung out all the time. I didn't realize he was kind
The
of
age gap,
a
yeah,
generation older than
yeah,
me
yeah, yeah.
until he posted. We were all, and he's on our group chat and everything. With happy birthday, blah blah blah. And then he sent a picture to us and said, "This is
Yeah.
how 60 looks."
Wow.
And it was him in the gym, bro. He
There you
looks
go.
45,
There you go, man.
and that inspired me beyond. I was already, I don't know. I think that got me back into the gym, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. There you go.
And I was like, "Whoa, wow, bro! I want to be just like you." Like, da da da. And he said, "Brian, the key is consistency."
Yes, sir.
So that's what really changed that clicked in my brain. And I'm down like 10 pounds since then,
There you go,
which
man.
was only a
Congrats,
few
bro.
months ago. Yep, thank you.
Yeah.
And then what I just started today is because like right now I've been going to the gym 2 times a week. That's only 2 times a week, mind you,
Yep.
consistently 2 times a week. And I'm super active, so I'm sure I'm burning stuff on other
Hmm.
times, but consistently that. Definitely diet change. A lot
Yep.
of people don't realize it's all like 80% of your diet,
80%. Yep.
right? But I started today like an at-home session of
There you
just
go.
like because now that I'm looking at the videos, right, I'm getting all these do
Yep.
this and do that and
Yep.
whatever. So I'm doing like a little thing there. So and I want to work that in kind of like at least on the days I don't go to the gym, I'm doing that.
Yep. Yes,
So
sir.
every day I'm working out.
Yep.
And you're right. If you kind of watching what you eat and if you use yucca, forget about it.
Yeah,
It'll cut
bro.
down so much of your options and things that you can
Yep.
eat. And I'm just making better decisions eating. A wifey got a little I know she got a little annoyed at me, but she gets it. She understands, like, because we
Yeah.
went out to eat after my daughter's graduation,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Congrats on that.
thank you. I was like, a salad, please.
Yep.
Had a nice salad. I had some wings too, though.
Yeah,
but I
yeah, but
didn't do the overloaded
protein
pasta
and veg.
and
Yep.
this and that, you know what I
Yeah, bro.
mean? And
Yep.
bread and heavy,
Yep.
like I would have went in salad, meal, wings,
Yep.
everything.
Yep.
I did
Dessert.
the salad and a couple of wings, and I was good. I was full.
Yes, sir.
So it's definitely a holistic approach that we are engaging in, and it is what it is, man.
Nice,
I'm
man.
loving it. Yeah.
All right. What you got for the pay
So
horn, bro?
so around the payhorn, what hit me was our own work defined podcast network
Yeah.
has almost 50 podcasts on there now. So shout
Nice.
out to William and Ryan for building this incredible network. And I just wanted to, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go through all of them, but I do want to maybe like this show and then the next show I'll do some more, so I just want to
Yeah.
call out some of these that I see on the website, because I reached out to William and I was like, where's a list of
Yeah.
all of us in the network? And he's like,
Yeah.
duh,
Yeah.
the website. And I was
Yeah.
like, duh. So it's workdefined.com, but it's WRKdefined.com. The link will be in the show notes. But let me just share a few of them. Let's see, they have the talent shift,
Mhm.
the redefining talent strategy, the Meg and Amy show, wit, wisdom, and foresight, elevate your AIQ, human centric AI readiness,
Mm.
the HR huddle, all things
Mm.
HR and payroll 2.0, our friends Pete Tiliakos and Julie Fernandez,
Mhm.
high volume hiring, inside job boards, Gen
Nice.
Z, sharing voices of Gen Z,
Nice.
the human role, and she does a play on words because it's a HR and payroll unplugged, it says.
Mhm.
And this is hosted by Tiana Neal, which will be on the show soon. She's on deck to come on this show, and we'll do like a crossover. She'll post it on her platform as well.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got. The Barf is what William and Ryan actually is their podcast that they host, and I'm telling you, I'm addicted to the Barf right now. I'm waiting for their next. They drop weekly like we do, and they just have this. Like I'm trying to get all their secrets because
Yeah. We're
they
gonna try to
cover.
emulate it.
Yeah, they cover these work news articles, and it's all relative to our world, and they just do so good at just kind of going through it all, and I love the show.
Yeah.
What else? Goodness gracious, they got so much good stuff on here.
Yeah, man.
Let me do a couple more here before we go. And HR Rockstar, which I believe isn't hosted by an actual former rock star. I'll do another one here. Oh, 360 Insights. That's Pete works for that company, I believe too. He's an analyst for them, so that's another interpreted HR tech. HR famous, more money, more problems. What else we got? Comp and Coffee. Somebody from Payscale is on that.
Nice, man.
The Work Wire. All right, I'll stop there and I'll come back next time with the rest of them because there's just so many great shows on there. Go check it out. Yeah,
And like you said, it'll be in the show notes. So if you want
it'll
to
be in the
review it in
show
between,
notes.
then you can look at it
Yes,
as well.
absolutely.
So
What you
for
got,
my
man? I love the notes you
around the
got
pay
here.
horn, what I have is a few industry headlines
Yes, go
and some
through it.
trends
I'm
to watch
loving
and
it.
stuff. So look, the first thing is that Acrisure acquires Heartland Payroll for $1.1 billion. So that was a recent acquisition
Acquisition.
that
Yeah.
occurred. In so Global Payments is selling its payroll division, which is called Heartland Payroll Solutions, to fintech firm Acrisure. Heartland served over 50,000 clients, including Burger King and Marathon Petroleum. And so there will be some rebranding after the post acquisition. The move allows Global Payments to focus on core payroll processing while Acrisure extends its fintech footprint.
Nice.
In the UK, employers are facing rising payroll costs. So businesses are grappling with a increased payroll tax and a 7% tax hike in the
Dang.
national living wage. So the Confederation of British Industry reports a significant drop in output expectations, with companies planning to reduce hiring and manage
Damn.
heightened cost pressures. So that's impacting a
Yeah.
lot of stuff over there.
That's gonna be a big impact, man. Damn.
Yeah, and look, so as one of these, some of the trends that we already know about is payroll. In payroll is AI and automation. It continues to be a thing, something that we're going to continue to talk
Oh, it's
about.
not going to stop for a long
Yeah,
time. I mean, it's not going away. It's
yeah,
just
and then,
it's just a matter of where are they in the process? Because
yep,
we're going to market internally, and I asked one of the vendors like, well, if you're going to talk about AI, just don't tell me about your little chat bots,
yeah, yep,
right? Are you doing
yep,
something significant with AI and payroll? Because that I have not seen yet. Everybody, all these companies jumped on the trend real quick by incorporating a chat bot. And we have
yeah,
AI and payroll. Look at our
yep,
chat bot. And
yep,
sure enough, that's all they got. And I was like, you know what I mean? Because it's gonna take a little while. Like real AI and payroll is gonna take a little bit. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
to make significant impact, you got to help us as the payroll pros. How do you do that?
yep. That's a good call out.
Yeah.
Look, there's also emphasis. Another trend is the emphasis on employee well-being. Right, that you're seeing more of that, especially in payroll. Right, you know,
Yes.
I think it's
Everywhere. Word
starting
up.
from, yeah. So I think that's an important thing to improve satisfaction and retention. So a few tax updates, some that you may already know. The Social Security wage base increased to $176,100
Yeah.
with
From
a
2025. Yep.
6.2% tax rate for both employers and employees. Medicare remained the same, and the FUTA remained the same at $7,000 as well. And the standard deduction increased by $400 for single filers and $800 for joint filers.
Nice.
That's it, man. So I'm gonna introduce our amazing guest. You want to do it? You want me to do it?
I could do it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So her name is Tasia Walker, right?
Asia.
Tasia, my fault. Tasia Walker, CPP. Tasia Walker is a seasoned payroll professional and proud graduate of Florida A&M University, where she earned her bachelor's degree in quantitative analysis. Holy moly. As a certified payroll professional, Tasia brings nearly a decade of expertise into payroll management, financial operations, and data analysis. Originally from Chi-Town, the Windy City, Tasia's early passion for numbers and genuine connection with people laid the foundation for a dynamic career in finance and payroll. Yes, it did. She began her professional journey in the banking and financial management sector, where she built a strong understanding of core financial processes before discovering her niche in payroll, an area that allows her to merge analytical precision with people focused service. Yeah, I mean, amazing background. Currently, she is just outside of Atlanta, and Tasia serves as a payroll manager for North America for Beeline Group. Oh, I know the company,
Mm-hmm.
and I know the name. I forget what it is. Anywho, in this role, she leads with purpose, efficiency, ensuring compliance, accuracy, and strategic insight into payroll operations. Tasia is driven by commitment to mentorship, education, and continuous growth, like a lot of good payroll pros are. She has a passion for transforming complex information into meaningful stories that foster understanding and spark change. That's funny because a lot of people say that about us.
Yeah,
Through knowledge sharing and community engagement, she strives to uplift others and shape the future of her profession.
yeah.
Amazing. Welcome, Tasia Walker.
Welcome to the show, Tasia.
Welcome, Tasia Walker. How you doing?
I am well. How are you?
I am amazing. I'm so happy to have you on. I've just read your credentials off and I was like, wow, this is great. I can't
Superstar.
wait. Yeah.
Superstar.
I cannot wait to hear about you. I'll start it off because I know you and Walt, did the prep work to lead up to it. So tell us, as we ask all of our guests, what's your payroll story? What's the origin story? How'd you get into payroll?
Right. So I hate to beat a dead horse with the payroll just kind of chose me like everybody else, right?
Yeah, most people except Walt.
No, not
Yeah,
just
he
me.
chose payroll.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so throughout my career, I've always had roles that were like payroll adjacent in some kind of way in
Okay.
terms of finance.
Yep.
And it was just interesting that I kept coming upon this thing with payroll. Growing up, my dad had a small business, and I managed his payroll for him. So that's where I kind of got like an
Yep.
initial insight into how business owners view payroll and what they're looking for, right? But I never really viewed it as a career. And it wasn't until I joined a warehouse company and was a payroll analyst there. And I worked under an amazing payroll manager, and she was a CPP. And I was like, yep, that's what I want to do.
Wow.
All right.
Wow. Okay.
Literally, it
You
was like,
chose it.
I
You
saw
chose
her.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's in a way, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
definitely, I haven't heard anything like that. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. All right.
Yeah,
Speaking
she
of
just really
CP,
knew her stuff. When you meet people that you're like, hey, this person knows their stuff. If I
yeah.
have a question, they know where to go to. And she's like, it's all because I took my CPP. I was like, what is that? So
Yeah.
Awesome.
yes.
That's the perfect segue for the next question we have for you. What you recently passed it yourself, so congratulations on that.
Congratulations.
You know,
Thank
and
you.
that's awesome. But what motivated you to pursue that CPP certification, and how did you know it was the right time?
You know, I still struggle with if it was the right time or not now, even after
Well, you
having
passed
passed
though.
it. I mean, I
Shoot.
passed. I was
You
like
passed.
nervous,
It was the right
right?
time.
Right. But anybody that works in payroll, you know, we know that our cycle, our year is the same year after year after year. So it's like, really, when is the best time? I'm just going to
Oh,
have to
I
do
get it.
it.
I get what you're saying now.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like you start off, you're at W-2 time, then you're trying to like clean up time. Sometimes you're going through
Mm-hmm.
system implementations, and then it's year end, and then it's a
Mm-hmm.
whole new year again, right? So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I just got to put my learning and development as a priority.
Yes.
And I felt like I really wanted to be the kind of leader that I would want to work for in terms of somebody that pursued their education. How do we, you know, develop a culture of continuous learning and development
I love
when you're
that.
in leadership roles and payroll and getting your team excited about those things? And I find the more I'm connected to my payroll community, the more excited I get about things, the more I'm like, hey, did you see this? Did you watch that?
Mm-hmm.
So I really felt like the CPP, it was just the right time in terms of my career, wanting to grow and develop and selfishly increase my income too, right?
Absolutely.
We're doing the work, right? So I think in the payroll world, it's growing. And so just wanted to go after and pursue those dreams of mine that could really get me the title and salary I felt like reflected the value I was bringing.
Amen. No
Awesome. There
doubt.
you go.
No
Motivated. All
doubt.
right.
Heck yeah.
All
So
right.
let me ask you this, and I love how this is playing out because I'm in boot camp right now,
Nice.
prepping for the fall test. So, and I'm same thing. Like for a long time, I was like, I don't need it, da da da. And then now I kind of, I started out wanting to do it for one reason, but then when I took the first class and I just got exposed to the information, I got so fired up about learning, and it just sparked this whole new motivation. But it does take a lot of studying, and that is what one of the things that scared me away from it before was like, oh, you got to study for 6 months and da 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 da. So, what was your study strategy? Which resources did you find most helpful?
Yeah. So I actually took the FPC exam in
Oh,
2022. So
okay,
I did the FPC boot camp at that time.
okay,
So not too far away, but some of the information I still kind of I had
retain,
just kind of
sure.
retained and just in working knowledge,
So
right?
wait, now quick little question here. So some of it carried over from the FPC to the CPP. You're seeing some of the same info.
Yes, I am
Okay,
seeing some of the same info in
okay,
terms of like information that stays the same, right? Like tax regulations or tax limits, knowing which ones are going to change annually, some of
got
the
you.
basic fringeable
Rate of pay,
benefits and
right?
rate of pay. How do
Got
you
you.
classify
How
your
do you class?
employees?
Yep,
Some of those
got you.
things. But I will say the CPP, I feel like offered another level of information in
Absolutely.
terms of in leadership, right? Like how do you support your team? How do you coach?
Mhm.
How do you counsel? When to know when to use those skill sets? What is the mission of your payroll function? How do you
Yes,
develop tax strategies, right? Keeping up to date with the information. So I feel like CPP dug a little bit deeper and
absolutely.
challenges you in a different kind of way, but the CPP definitely opened it up. But I would say PayTrain and PayOrg has like so
Hmm.
many
Uh,
resources. I really heavily utilize that. I utilized PayTrain, the guided study for the CPP. I
Yep.
did not do the CPP boot camp, and I honestly was a little nervous that I
Okay.
didn't because I was like, I wonder if I'm missing some material here, right? Because just those sessions that you get to listen to live and then go back and
Hmm.
re-listen to, you find so much information and concepts explained in a different way or more practical way, and not
uh,
just like book terms 1 + 1 = 2, somebody
Right.
telling you and
Right.
explaining why we got to put this piece here and that piece there, right? And so those were so helpful. In the handbook, I feel like the handbook itself is a cheat code. So there's a CPP handbook, there's an
Okay.
FPC handbook on
Oh,
Paywork
okay.
website, and that really helped me develop my study strategy in terms of knowing which content I should pay most
Amazing.
attention to and not, because it
Okay.
gives you the breakdown percentage wise, like how much does this part hold weight for? So
Ooh,
like
you
the
giving me
before
some gem.
calculations.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those kind of things, like where do I need to focus my time? Do I need to know all of these little tidbits, or do I need to
Mhm.
know kind of like a general consensus of what's happening here, but what's going to hold the most weight and get me that passing score, right? So I would definitely say having that study plan and really looking at that handbook
Oh, yeah.
and PayOrg and just signing up for any resources that they had,
Mhm.
connecting with other CPP
Study
people
group.
like Walt. He was amazing. I got to speak with him before I took it, and he's like, "Hey, everything okay? You kind of ghosted me." I'm like, "No, I just got to
I'm
buckle down.
studying. Yep.
I'm
Yep.
studying."
Yep.
So
Oh, so you
So
just took it in the spring.
yes,
I did. I'm a recent grad
Amazing.
of
Oh,
April
lovely.
2025.
Lovely.
Yes.
awesome. So speaking of time, how did you find the time to balance between studying for the test or the exam and your personal life? Because someone who may be studying right now and they
Mhm.
may have an issue with or struggle with balancing out that time.
Yeah. Honestly, I had to have some really honest conversations just with my family, with my leadership at work, and with my team. Like, hey, this is what I'm pursuing right now. The next few months, I actually decided at the last minute that I was going to take the CPP in the spring. I registered
Wow.
and paid like 2 days before the exam window opened.
Oh my
So it's a
God.
bit impulsive. I was reading some books that had me like fired up about life. I was reading The
No
Alchemist.
doubt.
I'm like, we got to keep
Ooh,
going,
yes. Yes.
taking a note of the omens and stuff, right?
Right.
And so I just told my family, like, hey, this is what I'm pursuing. So I may not be available in the same way to you. And hired help where I needed help in terms of housework. I'm also a parent, so navigating that with an
I'm
active
blessed.
child. So I was just really intentional about scheduling that time and really making a commitment to myself. So I gave myself 30 minutes a day. That's
There you go.
all,
Wow.
minimum 30 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
That's literally 30 minutes. I mean, I might have went over and
Yeah.
under some days,
I'm
right?
sure. I'm
Yeah, because
sure.
once you get in it, you're
Yep.
like, okay,
You're
I'm
in
in
it.
it.
Yep. Yep.
One
Yeah.
tax calculation question is 30 minutes,
Yep.
right?
For
So
real.
yeah, so I just had to be realistic with myself. And at the time, I was also in a leadership development program at my company.
Oh my
So
goodness.
that we had some travel in there and we had some just regular life. But I think just more so taking my own learning and development more serious. I think the people around me adjusted and being honest with my leadership and my job and saying, hey, I can't take on any more projects right now. We got to take a hold. I'll get W-2s
Mhm.
out. But once I'm done
Mhm.
with this, I got to really hunker down because this is important to me to pass the first time.
And how
All
can they
right.
argue? You're studying for your
Yeah.
CPP. Like,
Yeah.
hello.
It's gonna benefit them too, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I can tell you just so you know, like I mean, you passed already, so you didn't miss anything. But the boot camp, if you don't study ahead of time, you kind of do yourself like to make the boot camp. Let me rephrase that. To make the boot camp worth it, you have to stay ahead of the syllabus so that you can go into that session asking questions because you've already
Hmm.
studied the material. So
Yeah.
that's great. What else? Oh gosh, I was gonna say you got me thinking so much here. But look, let me ask you the next question. What part of the exam did you find most challenging, and how'd you tackle it?
So I took both the FPC and CPP
Hmm.
virtually.
Okay.
I live in the outskirts of Atlanta, and the
Okay.
closest testing centers were near the airport. And I was like, I don't want that kind of stress going in person driving.
Yeah.
So I think the hardest part, honestly, with the virtual is working out the problems on the whiteboard. I had
Oh,
taken the FPC virtually, so I was like, oh, I did it the first time. I don't really need to practice. And I wish I would have. They have in your certification dashboard, there's a tool there that says like testing, and you can actually test writing in the whiteboard ahead of your exam. And so I
okay.
highly recommend anybody that's going to take it, if you're going
Good
to do it
stuff.
virtually, get familiar with that
It
tool
practice
because
that part, right?
Yeah.
yes, because there is no movement. I was so nervous with the test proctor because you have to sit there, you can't speak, you can't move,
Yes, we heard.
nothing on your table,
Yes,
not
yes,
no one around you, no, not even a dog barking, right?
yep.
So, how do you make yourself feel most comfortable while taking that exam if you're going to take it virtually? I don't really have experience taking it in person, so I'm not really sure what that experience is like, but I think virtually the biggest challenge was navigating that whiteboard and really forcing myself to kind of sit still for that time frame.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. We had Brittany Furr on, and she mentioned the same thing. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let me ask you then, because while we're on that topic, were there any surprises that you experienced during the exam? Anything that caught you off guard?
So I might sound like an oddball here, but it was a little bit easier than I anticipated.
Okay.
Wow.
That
Okay.
just
It
means
was
you
it was
prepared well.
no,
Yeah.
maybe so, but I would say that was it was actually quite surprising. Like my biggest challenge in studying was remembering like the tax forms and what do you use for this, and when
Hmm.
you're
Mhm.
doing your quarterly returns, what are you filing on these pieces? And I'm like coming up with acronyms or cool ways to
Uh-oh.
remember, like a W4S
Is
is
that
for sick
ac-
pay, S for sick,
Yes, yes.
right? Like
P for
I
pension.
love it. I love it.
Yes,
yes.
yes.
So, finding those ways. But when I took the exam, it was heavily, calculations
Oh,
based.
wow.
Maybe not so much as the multiple choice. I know everybody's exam is composed
A little
differently,
different.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but I was actually quite surprised that some of those questions and materials that I thought I would see more of, I didn't, which was nice because I felt like the math, I had done so many calculation practice during my FPC that I felt like it was almost
Mhm.
like a robot on autopilot, like line one, line two. And I think just really taking that approach to the repetitiveness of studying and practicing those questions, I think really helps people have a successful first pass.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Amazing. So, what tips would you give someone who's just starting to prepare for me? I'm just starting. What tips you got for me?
Well, start early. It seems like you're starting early.
Yeah.
So, talking to other CPPs, which you're already doing. So,
Yeah.
that's a good sign. I would also recommend Payorg website. There's so much material and resources and information out there, even just templates to sell your company sponsoring you to get it.
Right.
There's so much information that they have out there, and then local payroll org study groups. There's local chapter
Yes.
groups. I highly recommend. I actually met
We started
someone.
a chapter. We started a study group from the pay boot camp.
Nice.
Yes, because you get to in the boot camp you get to chat with
Hmm.
everybody.
Hmm.
So I jumped in last session. I was like, anybody want to start a study group? And everybody was like, yes, 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 yes. And this a young lady, I was like, all right, well, what's the best way? And this young lady was like, WhatsApp, got it going. She was on it, boom, and now we got a standing weekly study group session going.
Wow.
Yep,
Awesome.
yep.
That's amazing. How did you navigate formulating a study group through the chat? Because that's what I found a
Because you can
little
talk.
challenging.
No, you can
Yeah, I mean,
talk.
you could talk, but
Yeah, and I was just like, anybody want to do a study group? And then she was like, everybody send me your phone number, and she text and invited everybody to the WhatsApp, and boom, we moved it to WhatsApp, and now we're on. Yeah,
Awesome.
oh, that's amazing.
yep. Because I
That's
think the
amazing.
studying is key.
Hmm.
You got to put in the hours, so that's a big, and then staying ahead of the syllabus, basically.
Yeah. And I think just reading the questions aloud with other people, their brain
Yes.
retains the information in a totally different way. And even when you
Yeah.
can
Hmm.
challenge some concepts that you might be like, I don't even know why we do it. Or at my company, we do it a little differently, right?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
getting the opportunity to meet other payroll professionals that might be working in different systems, might be working with different pay structures,
Hmm.
having
Yeah.
that community of people to exchange that information and knowledge with, I think is so key when studying for the exam.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's some of the stuff on it that, like, I may never touch.
Hmm.
We like, for instance, we were talking about police and firemen and how they're, allowed to have a different pay period and this, da, 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 and something they can
Right.
get OT through. PTO, and it's like, well, all right, good info, but I've never done it. I may never do it. So, but
Mm-hmm.
somebody in the group is like, oh no, I do this right now, and this is how it
Mm-hmm.
goes, so you're absolutely right with that. It's just having the community, right? I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is just getting the community. Yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome. All right. Last question for you before we go to our game that we have for you. Now that you've passed, how has the certification impacted your career or confidence?
So, in my career, I actually just recently received a promotion, started my new role today.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. That's something Walt and I had talked about
Nice.
extensively. I'm like, what's the next step, right? I was planning before I even passed. So I would say that's
That's
another
right.
thing. Have a plan for once you pass so that you get
Yes.
to that next step. And
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's really boosted my confidence in terms of my marketability just in the workforce in general. Right now, I'm in the retail industry and payroll. So retail has been taking a big hit. So you want to stay marketable. So I feel like the
Yes.
CPP really gave me that confidence to feel like I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing. I can really help develop and lead a payroll team or just a team in itself. So I'm really looking forward to what happens next and
That's right.
getting more acquainted in my new role.
No
Awesome.
doubt.
Oh,
No
so
doubt.
so happy for you. Oh my gosh. That's so awesome.
I think it
Thank
definitely
you.
can boost your, I, what you said was interesting, like when the right time is to take it. And honestly, like, well, look, the CPP qualifications, you have to be in payroll a certain amount of years anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I've been doing payroll over 20 years.
Wow.
And both Walt, we together, we almost
Yeah.
at what is it, a half century, me and
Yeah.
Walt,
Yeah.
so I was afraid at first. I was like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, oh, I'm not gonna. But what I found, I've been telling Walt, like what I found is we're familiar with all these concepts. We just never have dug deep into it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the CPP is bringing me is that depth of knowledge. Some things I've never heard of at all. I was like, what the heck? But like I get
Yes.
it, right? Like, whoa. Um so I love it, and you had said something else that made me think of like as I'm going along, I'm like stopping and adding notes to my work side to be like, wait, I need to run an audit on this, and how
Mm-hmm.
do I'm notified on this, and da, da, da. And it's little things that, like you said, it may not ever come up. We do it differently here, da da da. But like I told folks, payroll compliance is like insurance. It may
Yes.
never happen, but you prepare for it happening. You
Mhm.
best
Yes.
practice so that if it ever happened, you're ready, or your documentation is good. You're doing
Mhm.
things the right way, because you never know if you're going to get audited or not. Especially in today's market where the government's starting to look for money, and you
Yeah.
know government going crazy looking, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely impacting that side of me where I'm like, oh, whoa, I'm adding to my work checklist based on what I'm learning, and I'm having fun learning what I'm learning. And one of my coworkers was like, how was class? I was like, it was amazing. And she's like, said no one ever. She's like, that's an adult response, right? Like you going to class, you
Yeah.
ask your kids how's class, and they're like, ugh, you
Right.
know
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's cool. I'm really glad I get to get some feedback from newly passed, and I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, really cool,
That's
amazing.
amazing. Now you have me wondering what made you decide now after 20 years to go for it.
I think because our world is just all in on payroll.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and we were talking the other day, and we was talking about work, and she's like, like you're all in, like you live, breathe, eat, sleep payroll, and we really do, right? Like me and Walt, like this is not an act or any, like me and Walt get off, and we still back. Yo, did you see this article? Oh my gosh, this
Yeah.
is
All the
crazy.
time.
Right?
Like we talk about payroll and the impact of things all the time. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It is our life. So it just made sense to continue with it, right? We do a little teaching on the side. So I was like, I really want to, if I'm teaching folks about payroll, and, if I get involved in like the National Payroll Week and go to the schools and teach, like I want to be really prepared
Mm-hmm.
to teach folks and to know the rules and to come from a really solid place, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so interesting that you said that, because we were literally talking about it at a business meeting last week, and we were just talking about the evolution of payroll and how it's so necessary to get people that have the knowledge and
Mm-hmm.
understand how the regulations are changing. Because I mean,
Yes.
just 20 years ago, most people were getting what, paper checks.
Yeah.
Now direct
Mm-hmm.
deposit is like mandatory in almost all 50 states.
Yep.
So when you think about the trajectory in the next 5 to 10 years, what does that
Yeah.
look like?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a webinar a few months back that Chime hosted for, they want to get 30 chief payroll officers by
That's right.
2026.
Right.
Just to get
Yeah.
payroll in the C-suite. Because
Yeah.
how often have we seen where if payroll was brought in earlier, sooner, some of these issues might have been addressed. It might have
Mm-hmm.
saved the company some money. Yes, we may not be a revenue generating department, but we are an expense generating department.
Yeah.
So if we can minimize what's going out and manage that risk a little bit better, and I think, you know, that's a big help to business
That's a
in the
clip
long
right there,
term.
Absolutely.
Brian. That's a clip right there.
Absolutely. And it's not, see, I believe that we can redefine whether it's revenue generating or not. It may not be, well, depending on the business model, right? If you're mergers and acquisition type of thing and you're a shared
Mm-hmm.
service, you are kind of helping, you are kind of getting some
Mm-hmm.
revenue from your companies that you're buying. That's a different model. But what I have been kind of formulating is like, we may not be revenue generating, but we need to show how we can save money, right? I
Right.
got into a new role recently. I'm looking at things and analyzing, and I was like, man, I see like 50K in savings here. And I remember the guy was one of the ops director. He was like, what do you mean? And I was like, oh yeah. And I ran it down to him where I saw the savings, and I can share one of the items is like, folks are cash, the live checks that we do have,
Mm-hmm.
they're cashing them a day early. That's a
Oh, wow.
$50 hit to the
Yep.
company every time that happens. If you
Mm-hmm.
can teach and coach against it, you just save the company some money, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're if you regulate that where it was unregulated before, if you right, you
Yep.
got to dig into everything that payroll is costing you and try to find some savings. You know,
Mm-hmm.
shoot, we did an article long time ago about UKG going into a health system in Alabama, and they saved that health system like a few $100,000 in overtime. Forget what they call it, but it's like slippage or some spillage, the equivalent to that,
Wow.
where, right, you punching in early, you're leaving late. They didn't have the guardrails, they didn't have a sophisticated time and attendance system to limit punching in early and limit punching out late, and reporting on it, and just all those bells and whistles that a sophisticated time and sender system, boom, that's payroll savings that you can find your company if you don't have the automations, right? Automating things that people, we're still in a place where folks do things heavily manual. Me and Walt talk about it all the time. Like, we're still doing this
Yes.
manual for what?
Mm-hmm.
Automate that junk. Like, come on
Yeah.
now. That frees
I
up,
literally keep an
right?
AED list: automate, eliminate, delegate. Every
Oh, I
year,
love
my
it.
team goes through it.
Yes.
What can we automate? What can we eliminate? Where can we
Yes.
redelegate? Because some
There
HR
you
tasks get
go.
pushed to payroll, some finance get pushed to payroll. We're really our own thing.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So yeah, you got to
That's
get
right.
some
Because if you could,
automations in
right?
there.
If you could
Yeah.
Hmm.
free up the time, guaranteed, payroll is very
Yes.
reactionary. I don't care how sophisticated that team is. There's some
Hmm.
reactionary points, and that's what you want to move away from. You want to be less
Yep.
reactionary, more proactive. More of the strategy, more of the planning, more of the audits, more of the review, more of the saving, finding where we can save money. you
Mm-hmm.
know
Yep.
so yeah. Oh, amazing. What a great conversation. I
Yeah.
love
A
it.
lot of
I love
nuggets.
it.
A lot of
Right, a
nuggets.
lot of
Yeah.
nuggets.
Yes. I'm like, I could keep going and on and on.
I know, and that's why I'm like, wait, let's reel it
Yeah.
Yeah,
back
let's bring
We
it
here.
gotta.
back.
Reel it
We
back.
gotta.
We'd love to have you on again.
Yes.
Come on again
Yes.
in a few months, and we talk some about something else.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I would love to.
Oh, awesome, awesome. This is our home. This is a home to the greatest payroll professionals in the world, and we've had them on here. I promise you, we've had them on. There was a top 10 list that was put out in LinkedIn of top 10 payroll influencers in the world, and we had 8 of them on the show. So
Wow,
this is the home
that's
to all the
amazing.
payroll greats. That's right.
Yeah.
So we got a little game we call this or that.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like you could pick both, neither, either, or, whatever it is, just to get to know you a little beyond payroll, right? Walt, you want to do the first 3? I'll end it up.
Yep. Let's do it. So number 1, do you prefer a home cooked meal or a fancy restaurant?
If it's a payroll day, fancy restaurant.
There you go. I like that
I know
answer.
that's right.
There you go. All right. So number 2, Excel or Google Sheets?
Oh, Excel all day.
Excel all day. All right.
Yeah, no
And
doubt.
the last one, number 3 is, would you prefer a long road trip or a flight?
Oh, flight.
Flight? Okay. Okay.
I'm not a good partner to take on a road trip. I sleep.
Word.
Beginning to end.
Yeah, I don't like being in the car that long. I got my limits,
I
and I'm
love
like,
it.
I just get antsy. Yeah, walk and drive across the country. But
Yeah,
that's some people. My
let's
wife
do
is the
it.
same way. She likes it. She zones out and finds peace in it. I'm like, no, I just get annoyed after a while.
I don't. I'm like, I need a nap. What are
That's
these
right.
drivers doing?
Yeah. Oh gosh. All right. Here's Starbucks or Dunkin'.
Starbucks.
All right.
Okay.
Need that cake pop.
Staycation? Yeah, no doubt. A staycation or going out of town?
Hmm. I'm gonna go with both.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
I love that. Last one, email or text?
Probably neither. I'm like, no more notifications. No.
I heard that. Oh
I
my
love that.
gosh.
I love
But
Yes.
text is probably better.
Okay. Okay. That's good. That's a great answer.
Agreed. I love it. And
Yeah, you've been amazing,
yes.
Tasia. Thank you
Yes.
for coming on and sharing your knowledge and sharing your experiences with us. We definitely appreciate those, and I'm sure the listeners are going to appreciate that as well.
Yes.
So thank you for that. And Brian, you have anything else before I end it with the quote of the day?
No, I don't. Thank you so much for coming on. Can't wait to have you back.
Yep. You have an open invite.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you guys so much.
Of course. So the quote of the day is, we may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated. Maya Angelou. All right.
Love it. Way to end it.
I love it. Yep.
Thank
Great
you
one.
again, guys. I loved hanging with you all this evening. Thank you so much for having me.
This was such a
Thank
treat
you.
to have you. Yes.